everyone, and welcome to another episode of $1 Million Media. I'm your host, Max Kellerholz, and with me today I have...
Aleah.
Zach.
Nile.
And today we are going to be talking about the newest Marvel movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. The movie centers around pretty much Scott Lang. After the events of Endgame, he's kind of gone around on a book tour talking about how he saved the world. And how his other Ant fam is doing. His daughter Cassie, who has aged 5 years since he's last seen her. We meet her in jail, she's doing some freedom fighter stuff, or more like protesting.
Yeah, you can say freedom.
And
Freedom fighting, yeah.
We find out that during that time, she's been working with some Ant-Man tech, including quantum tech. She builds a device that's pretty much like as they say, a Hubble telescope, but for the quantum realm. And when they operate it, they get sucked down into the quantum realm, and the entire movie is basically them trying to get out of the quantum realm. But down there, they come across a very scary presence in the form of a conqueror named Kang. Right off the bat, I've seen how this movie is being portrayed online, and right now it's really interesting that it's 50-50 amongst critics, but overall the audience score is relatively positive, which makes sense because, I mean, for as much as we would like to be critics here, we're not.
I love Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd is my life.
Yeah.
I live for him.
But yeah, I'm just going to say I had a lot of fun with this movie, but I do have clear problems with it.
Uh-oh. You should say those problems.
I'll save them. But I'll talk about positives first. I think Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, is a great main character again for the third Ant-Man film. As Aleah said, Paul Rudd just nails this character and is just really fun to root for. Just this blue-collar superhero, pretty much, on this crazy-ass adventure. And I think the other thing that I really liked about this movie was the quantum realm. Well, actually, there's another thing I did really like, but we'll save that for later. But yeah, I love the quantum realm. I loved all the designs in the movie. I loved they're not aliens, but all the creature designs were really fun for me. They're all based off microorganisms, so they're all gooey and bug-like and weird. And I don't know, it just made me laugh. I found the one creature who was fascinated with holes to be really funny.
I loved him.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, that shit was too funny for me.
I love the mind reader, dude.
The mind reader guy was also really funny.
Stop thinking that. No, I'm not. Stop thinking that.
They don't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had multiple different environments, from forests to deserts to mountainscapes to cityscapes to mines. It was really cool. Just a lot of different environments that, hell, not even Star Wars usually does. So the whole movie reminded me an old 70s, 80s sci-fi film that just went for really weird concepts. It really reminded me the 80s Dune. I don't know if any of you have ever seen any part of that, but it's just super weird and psychedelic at sometimes. But yeah, that's pretty much what I liked about the movie, but I'm going to save the other thing I really liked for when we all pretty much eventually say it. So, Aleah, how about you?
It's just funny. I laughed. There was not one moment where I wasn't laughing in that movie.
Okay, now I have another question, because there are some parts where I'm were you laughing with the movie, or were you laughing at the movie at some points? Because I was laughing at it, but I didn't know if that was intentional. Because
I think it was 50-50 for me.
Okay.
It was overall funny, but some parts I was genuinely just what the fuck? And I just started laughing, because, Bill Murray? Bill fucking Murray?
Oh yeah, Bill Murray's in this.
He's canon? I'm no.
They show him in the trailer. Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't see the trailer because I
guess I just walked over it, I guess. I don't know.
It's a blink and you miss a moment in the trailer, but he's in the trailer, so it was...
It's a blink and miss him in the movie, too.
Yeah, he's not in the movie that much. And,
okay.
it could be played by anybody.
I was literally please don't let this be someone I know. Please don't let this be someone I know. In my head, I'm he comes out, I'm Bill fucking Murray? God.
Oh, I gotta remember, what Bill Murray looks like.
Ghostbusters.
Still no.
Okay.
We're gonna leave that.
Alright, I'm not gonna touch that.
That'll be a
What
second.
about you, Zach?
I think I agree. I was about a 50... I would say 70-30. I think 30% of the time I was laughing at the movie, 70% I was laughing with it.
Okay. Do you have any other...
I think taking any Ant-Man movie overly seriously is kind of setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think the character is very much in the way that Spider-Man has been built today, in that the, like, childish likeness of the character is a trope within the movie. Or, like, that childlikeness is the kind of, like, fart joke-esque attitude the movie's gonna take. In that, like, the Spider-Man movies, like, Peter Parker, when he's in it, is very, like, fart joke-esque. Like, oh, yeah, I'm sure, yeah, whatever. Like, really, like, laughy, giggly, or, like, weird, or, like, kind of stumbles, or whatever. Like,
well, I gotta disagree with you on that, but, shocking. But, no, what I've always thought was, like, the difference between, like, I definitely see that more with Ant-Man, and, like, he's more of, like, because he's so blue-collar and never really wanted to be a superhero, and he got stuck with these powers, he definitely comes across as more of the guy who's just like, what am I doing most of the time? I would disagree with Spider-Man because most of the time he is jokey, but he's not bumbling because he's only bumbling when he's Peter because he has to put on, it's like that Superman dynamic when he's Clark Kent, he can't really show that he's this big tough guy like he is Superman, but when he's Clark Kent he has to play like really reserved, really timid, really nerdy. And that's Peter Parker, but when he's Spider-Man, he kind of, most of the time, he steps up. Unless he's, depending on like what age he's at, it's how much he steps up.
See, I agree with the Superman part, but I think if you really look at how the film ramps from the beginning to the climax to the end, yeah, well, both. I'm saying Spider-Man, I think what you're saying is true, but I think that happened in Ant-Man too. I think that the beginning of the movie to the climax, all of that is going to show the jokey, whateverness nature of both characters.
All right.
They're both going to mess around, they're both going to be bumbly and make mistakes, or they're going to focus on some other non-main aspect of them fighting the villain, but who they are as a character. Mm-hmm. We're going to get to the climax, they're going to have the big climax fight where they both take it super seriously. And then the downtrodden is going to be kind of comedic again. He's going to crack a joke when he barely made it out alive, or whatever. Like, the characters are going to follow the same train in their movies.
Alright, I see what you mean.
That Spider-Man does. Because, like, for example, Iron Man doesn't really have that. He's just kind of Iron Man through the whole thing. He's always on the Iron Man train. It's not really overly comedic or overly actioning. It's just staying true to the character. But I think Ant-Man and Spider-Man are closer in the current version of Spider-Man with the way they want Ant-Man portrayed as. Kind of humorous, kind of jokey, serious when it matters, but still is like this kind of, I don't know why I became a superhero, but I'm going to embrace being one kind of trope.
I get you. Okay, I see what you mean. I feel like with the Ant-Man movies, it's really weird how we've gone from the first one and the second one to this one. Because if we look at like the first two Ant-Man films, they were really just palate cleansers. And they always came after Avengers movies. So like the first Ant-Man film came after Age of Ultron, and the second Ant-Man film came after Infinity War. This is the one that they're like, oh no, we're going to take this one very seriously, and this film is going to affect everything going forward. Now, I admire the ambition of that. Do I think they executed it right? Not entirely, except for the one thing that they did do really well, and I think we're just going to go into it. Jonathan Majors as Kang is incredible.
Phenomenal.
I've seen the film twice, and both times he's the best part of the movie. Just the way, the subtle movements. Most of his actions are just done with his fingers. Not even hands, just fingers. Like, he can just, like, command a room just by moving two fingers a certain way. He just has he chews up so much scenery that no wonder why he's in the quantum realm, because if he were up there, he would just chew the entire fucking planet apart. But, like, I don't know how much I want to spoil other things, but knowing that we have seen a version of this character before, and seeing how different he's played both versions, it's really cool to see this particular version of Kang. And Kang has always been one of my favorite Avengers villains, so I was really happy they got him right in this film.
This was my first introduction to Kang, so I wasn't really sure. Like, I didn't know anything about the supervillain, but like he definitely fucked up that role. Like, that was crazy.
It definitely seems like, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, but from what I've seen, it seems like he definitely is different from the rest of, not the rest of the supervillains like that you see in movies.
He's not a Thanos type.
Yeah, he's not a Thanos type, but at the same time,
I'm happy about that though.
I feel like
he's easily more powerful than Thanos.
We'll have to wait. That's
my position.
I think
it's really
for
tough
me,
power scaling.
Even outside of power scale or whatever, to me, when thinking about the movie, especially for this episode that we're talking on right now, he reminds me a lot about how I feel about Darth Vader from the original 3 movies.
Oh, I totally know what you mean.
Where
I can agree with that.
It's like this. It's like this stoic sort of like the actor's just presence and way of talking and like the cast reaction to dealing with him it's almost like the pressure and like the power level of the threat is just imposed by the way the actor's physically moving. Him flicking 2 fingers and destroying the entire Ant-Man crew.
Yeah.
It just like goes to prove power, and he's almost like apologetic for what he has to do.
Oh, yeah.
In the way that like Darth Vader is like, I didn't want to become bad, but this is the path I must lead. It's like, he feels the same way. He's like, I am the threat. So I must tread this path for the... He almost thinks like his goal, in the same vein as Thanos, is like important. You can kind of understand... He's an understandable villain whether or not you agree with him. And I think that is a really great aspect that will serve well for the overall timeline, but maybe didn't do as much service in the movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, the only problems I ever have with Kang is just really the writing, but that's just kind of an overall thing in the movie that really bothered me, and that's really was my big negative with the film, I guess. I mean, I want to still talk about Kang. We will get into negatives, but, like, I mean, even, like, hell, they got the costume down right, like, just, like, a 1-for-1 translation between book to screen. Like, they did a really good job of adapting it, and, like, I don't know, it was just, like, I totally agree with you on, like, the Darth Vader aspects of just, like, he just has this overall, like, oh shit, like
this eminence.
Like, it's the feeling of, like, because whenever he's in a scene, they hardly do any jokes. Like, you don't see Scott, like, riffing with him at all. Like, it's a different environment because there's characters in this movie that are entirely made to just be laughed at.
Marna.
Yeah. And we'll definitely get into that. But he's not one of them, and I really just am glad that, like, no, we are taking our time to actually set up a really good villain, because Marvel in the past does not care about villains. So just to see them, like, take their time with an actual good villain, I was really happy. And, I mean, just Jonathan Majors is so fucking cool. I love him in The Harder They Fall. I still have to watch, I think he's in The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I haven't seen it.
I recommend.
He's in that, right?
I believe so. Hold on.
I want to be sure. I'll cut this out if I'm wrong, though.
Okay.
But, and I'll keep it all in if I'm right. But yeah, he's about to be in Creed 3, which we will do on the show. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm so happy that, like, an actor who's relatively up and coming is getting roles like this. And like,
yeah, he's in it.
Okay. And just going forward, it's going to be really cool to see him pop up. Okay. Is there any other positive thoughts we want to go into? Because I definitely have some non-spoilerly negatives, but then after that we can go into spoilers.
I think the supporting cast did well with what they could. I think, like, the way they were written, like you said, may have been troublesome. Yeah. But I feel like the actors themselves did a good job. Like, if I saw them appear in another movie, I wouldn't be like, ugh, I have to deal with this character again.
No, I get you.
Like the way people felt about Korg in Love and Thunder. Where it's like, oh my god, here comes Korg. Well, he went from love to hated. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just off of, right? I don't feel like that happened to the side characters. No. It just could have been better. but that they were still lovable in their own way, and they played, like, whatever their trope was well. So I look forward to seing them, hopefully, again, in terms of their ability.
I definitely agree with you on that point, where it's like, I think the supporting cast does what they were asked to do.
Right. The acting decisions were good, but the writing wasn't as good as it could have been.
And
correct.
I really just think it comes down to a writing thing because, I also got some problems with the direction in the movie because I noticed a lot of times, especially when you work with like CG environments, it really did feel like stage play, like, okay, just stand there really stiff because if you move, you're going to fuck up the green screen. And I noticed that a lot in this movie, and I was just like, man, it just really feels like they have like 16 feet of like a set, and the rest of it's green, and you can really see what's set and what's green screen. But I enjoyed the world around it, and I love the design. I just really wish that the direction of the actors showed that more, because I think the actors are putting all they can into it. They're just not being helped by direction. But that's really my only direction problem. Really, just the writing in this movie is just bad. Like story points and some lines that I thought were like really weirdly written. Like there's this one part in the movie, and I've seen it twice, and it still bothers me twice, just how it's said. And it's the part where they get down to the quantum realm and they're discovering people, and she just goes, "There are quantum people in the quantum realm?" And I was just like, just say there's people in the quantum realm. It's a little bit of a nitpick, but I'm also like, it just goes to show my overall problem where it's just like, they just have characters do things not based off like actual character decisions, more about how does it overall affect this plot. Because I have no fucking clue why Janet kept that shit a secret through half the film.
Do you want to know the note? I'm
just
glad we got to
Just
this.
say it.
I said, why wouldn't the mom just be honest? She literally started a war within the quantum realm. Like, how the fuck do you do
Okay.
that? It's literally how I
Okay. So
Yeah,
I actually have opinions on both the thing you said and that question.
Okay, let me hear.
Starting with the quote. If you paid attention to the movie, the fact that they are entirely human is odd. Hence the specification that these are not human people, these are quantum people, so quantum realm only races.
I know.
A quantum realm. The line is weird because of the way it sounds and the way it was delivered.
That's
but like, I understand the intent. So even if it was weird, I can understand it.
I understand. Yeah, I could get the intent, but when you're like you gotta have like someone look at the dailies on that and be like.
See, for you, it was a big sticking point. I didn't even remember that happened.
It was just one small thing that really bugged me. That just goes to show like an overall thing within the writing. Just like it's just not well written.
I don't think it had to be though. Like that's my opinion. I don't think it did.
Because I feel like the first couple Ant-Man films were really well written, and like you cared about the ant family and the friends.
To me, this is the reason why a critic gave it a 50 and everyone else gave it an 85. Like, if I'm seeing Ant-Man, I don't really care about the narrative. I care about the jokes and the lightheartedness and like the Ant-Man part. Like the overall story can be lacking in the same way that people had problems with the Doctor Strange movie for the writing too. They didn't like that America did this or this. They didn't like Doctor Strange did this or this. Based on the writing, but like, what I was there for was Doctor Strange doing Doctor Strange things, and he did that. Hence why I liked it, but it also had the same response.
No, I definitely agree with you on also the Doctor Strange thing. And also, I do really like the Ant-Man stuff in this movie. I thought that stuff was really fun and creative and well written. Characters just do stuff in this movie for no reason, like for just plot reason. Also, I feel bad because her character's in the fucking title of the movie. But what the fuck is Wasp even doing in this movie? They don't give her shit.
It really is Ant-Man.
It's Ant-Man's movie.
The movie, yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for her. They only really put her in the title because
they're partners.
Yeah, they're partners.
And she has a suit.
Honestly, there's only one part in this movie at the very end that feels
where Wasp feels good.
Yeah, where she feels very important to the story. And throughout the entire part of the movie...
She's pretty not there.
She's not there, and I feel really bad because, like, for the most part, I really like Evangeline Lilly as this character. I just feel like in the first movie and this movie, they don't give her shit to do.
So...
And that just
going
really
on to
bothered
the second part with the mom,
Okay.
because I have more comments on the fact that Wasp
Technically
wasn't
also the
included.
Wasp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that the Wasp was included. So, this is like a little rough, but imagine that you were abused as a kid, right? Do you really want to talk about being abused as a kid? Do you want to talk with people about that? Do you want to talk with people about how that hurt or how that was bad or how you bullied someone at school because of what you went through at home and how that's like a dark part of you? Because she makes a comment at the table with Bill Murray about how she killed millions of people in this war against him. How she feels that all that blood is on her hands. Yeah. And everyone else has made her feel that all that blood is on her hands.
Yes.
Would you really want to be like, yes, just so you guys know, while your mom was gone and your wife was gone, I kind of became, like, someone responsible for the death of millions of people. So I'm kind of a piece of shit. To a bunch of other people.
I agree with you, but I also know that, like...
So she was kept in the dark. She didn't know until the minute they turned it on and brought up the quantum realm.
I totally understand why she didn't tell people about it then. Like, yes, on Earth, I totally get why.
Okay, so you land in the quantum realm. Now imagine the person that beat you as a kid is now again in front of you.
I would have to.
Would you immediately tell them, or would you try to find a way to danger and then tell them what's happening? Would you try to immediately flee the threat? If my house is burning, I'm not going to explain how the house lit on fire, then run out. I'm going to run out and then explain why the house caught on fire.
I know, but I also feel like there's moments in the film where they had a little bit of, like, time to explain that.
The first time they ever reach safety is when she tells them, once the contact gets there, to leave. That's when she tells them.
Even then, like...
I feel like the timeline is reasonable for any sort of, like, deep
Here's one way
thing
that you could, like, get around that, though. All she had to do is just say, oh yeah, I'm running away from Kane. I'll explain later. He's just a dangerous man. I'll explain later. That is all you have to say because she's keeping them in such the dark. It's really breaking her family apart, and that's really... If that's what the metaphor they're going for... I get it.
Well, they were. Because they went with that. Because the same trope was used with Cassie and Scott. The way the mom and the daughter reacted is the same way that Scott and the daughter were playing the same trope the whole movie. Dad, you just don't get me.
Oh.
Dad, you just don't get me. These people need help and you're too much of a pussy to help. Why won't you help? And he's like, because I want what's best for you. I want you to be ignorant of the problems of the world. I want you to just live in your lane and be safe. Don't be like me. And her mom is doing what Scott's doing, but to her daughter, which is Wasp.
I get you.
But the difference is it doesn't work as well in a adult-to-adult relationship as it does with a parent and a kid. But that was the intention of the writing. When you view it from that point, it makes sense why they did it that way. But I agree. I think the much more logical decision would have been like, there are some bad things going on here, and when we are safe, I will tell you what's happening.
I know.
And then continue on the path to safety.
I just feel like the way they did it in the film, like, she didn't give them any, like, I will tell you later. She was just like, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Well, neither did Scott. He was just like, just stop, Cassie. Just be normal. Just be a normal kid. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Just be normal. Yeah. They were both stubbornly hard-headed like actual parents are. I agree it's a bad writing. I'm explaining what they were going for.
I just feel like one felt more... human and
it's because two were adults and one was an adult and a kid.
Yeah,
and it's more understandable when it's an adult.
We're also looking at the characters of like Janet and Hope. They're both adult scientists who are logical.
It doesn't play as well with those characters.
It doesn't.
Not at all.
It doesn't. No. That's really why I felt like there's a lot. And also, like, I feel like they wanted to have like an Ant-Man family story with all the major characters, but didn't know what to do with some of those characters. So most of the time, Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, is just there to say, I like ants. And, like, maybe, like, a couple times it's actually a pretty funny joke, but then, like, that's all he does in the movie is just say, I like ants.
So, I actually read an article that made this kind of make more sense to me and that I actually agreed with. Well, so, it had to do with what some of the newer Phase movies have done. And that viewing this... both for real-world reasons and for cinematic reasons, these younger characters are to be viewed as a changing of the guard.
Oh, I get you.
So,
yeah.
Even though it made the movie somewhat worse, being Ant-Man and Wasp, Cassie is the changing of the guard.
Oh, no, I agree.
She's the one to succeed Ant-Man. So, the movie being focused on Cassie and Scott makes more sense than him or anyone else. Like, he's relevant extremely to the origin of Ant-Man. Afterwards, not so much. No. So why would he appear as anything more than, oh, remember when I was the ant dude who made Ant-Man? Like, he really doesn't have more of a role than that, both comic-wise or in the movie. Okay. In this context.
Yeah,
in this context.
I was going to say, in comics, like that, Hank Pym is the first Ant-Man. And I'm not going to get into that. There's
right, but like I'm saying, in the context of the cinematic universe, he doesn't have anything more than I am Ant-Man's, like, conceptual birth giver.
Sure, okay.
Because they really don't even touch him being Ant-Man. They really just go right into Scott being Ant-Man and what
you get
Hank
flashbacks.
Knows. Right, but that's not a whole lot in comparison.
No.
So
I
think it's intentionally designed to be focused on Scott and Cassie so that they can set up their universe, their phase, to be America filling in as this kind of time multiverse traveling Doctor Strange fill-in. Yeah. And then she fills in Ant-Man and so on and so forth.
No, I agree because I've noticed like in the Hawkeye TV show we got Kate Bishop and in Black Panther we had Riri Williams and also Shuri. I totally understand, yes. I had no problem with Cassie in this film, really. Like, I thought, like, Catherine Newton did a good job. And there was nothing really I had a problem with that whole story about the father-daughter thing of just trying to, like, a father trying to understand his daughter, knowing that she's growing up a little too fast for him. I totally got that. And, like, I thought they played that really well. And I feel like the movie was really focusing more on that. So when it came to the other stuff, like, where I could see where they were trying to do a mirror to that, it just didn't work as well for me because they didn't really care to, because Wasp isn't much of a character in this movie, Hank Pym isn't much of a character in this movie, and really they just wanted to focus on Janet and her story. So it was just weird, like proportionally, like how they gave what amount of screen time to what character. And like
that did feel very off.
It was really weird.
With everyone other than Cassie and Ant-Man, everyone got really weird levels of screen time and interaction.
Michelle Pfeiffer does a really good job when she is like breaking down like what happened, and like also I know it's a comic book world and they can get away with like hand wave explanations for things. I guess we can kind of move into spoilers a bit. The way she finds out who Kane is I just touched the chair since it's connected to his mind. I got to see into his mind. Huh? Like, okay. I get that it's connected to his head, but I don't touch a wire and then I can see the entire internet. I know it's just...
No, she touches the orb.
I know.
The orb is synonymous with the multiverse, so she's touching the multiverse.
Okay.
Which is showing him. Okay. That's what it was trying to explain.
It was just a little, like, I was just like, okay, she needed to find out. Bit out of a way to do it. But there was just, like, so many times in this movie they just did hand wave explanations for things. The ending was the biggest hand wave of just, like, no, everything's good now. I was just like, okay, not everything. But, okay, so, like...
The ending could have wrapped up differently.
Yeah, and I was really I don't know. I guess I'm just like I like when a movie can somewhat have a bittersweet ending where it's like we win but we don't really win.
That's what it did.
No, they won.
No, they didn't.
How?
Literally, the end scene is him freaking out where he's like, "Oh God, did I really just? I basically just set him free." Like.
Okay.
Like, that's the way the movie started, where he's like, I don't get it. So they ended it in the same fashion, and then they most definitely didn't with the scenes at the end, where they're like, oh yeah, they killed the exile.
Fine.
Oh, we're going to war. Like, they definitely didn't win. Like, they're definitely getting themselves into a conflict.
Yes. Okay. Maybe I should have said it a different way. the way they were setting up the ending and the thing they got themselves into regarding... Okay, I'm just going to say it. How the movie ends is Kang is defeated by ants. And you can get into that if you want.
That's fine.
I thought it was... Like, for me...
It's funny.
It's funny. But, like, it does really, like...
And it's on brand, but...
It's on... Well, I have to... Because you haven't seen the movie?
I'm
they're
just saying.
technically advanced ants because when they came down to the quantum realm,
they lived 1,000 lives, kind of deal.
Yeah, he had an ant farm that went down with him, and the ants in that ant farm kind of hit, like, this weird time thing, and they were there for thousands of years, so they created a socialist... nation.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
of technologically advanced ants.
Yeah.
That's kind of
and then they came and they fuck everybody up. They fuck shit up.
Oh, yeah. I like that. That's the Ant-Man stuff I liked because I was like, how the fuck are they going to do that? Because one of the cool things about ants. Ants. And one of the cool things about...
Upgrades.
Yeah, upgrades.
Bro really had to glow up from an ant to fucking super weapon.
Oh, yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Like, there was, like, giant mechanized ants.
That were, like, fucking on the technology. It was crazy.
All for it. That was, like...
I loved it.
Continuity-wise, I thought it was a shit way to beat him. But, like, in terms of, like, if I wanted it from an Ant-Man movie, it's exceptional.
But also, you gotta think, like...
That sounds so funny.
How,
like... It's pretty funny.
I know people are like, Kang got defeated by ants, but you also have to think, like... Well, these are giant ants, and if you know ants in real life, they can lift God knows how much above their
body weight.
Their body weight. They also have lasers. They're a technologically advanced race of ants, and there's millions of them. I don't think he's like one guy with like some hand wavy tech is going to defeat all of that. I bought that, and to be fair, he wasn't technically defeated. Because he got out.
10 to 50 times their body weight.
Yeah, he got out of that shit. He did because before they as they open up the portal to go back into.
Oh right, he fights.
He lived through that. He just is missing like
all his tech,
some of his tech on his arm. But I've never seen a bigger ass whooping than what Ant-Man went through.
But to me, the ants pose such a problem. Because the way they talk about him, and even in the flashbacks, he's like almost single-handedly, with the same army he has, dog-walking humans across millions of planets.
Yeah,
like there's no effing way this guy is losing to ants when full-force humans with weapons are getting dog-walked by him alone.
Like, nigga, it's Ant-Man.
Dude, he's like pimping out planets for fun. And the ants show up and he's like, oh, cool. I lose.
He's like, I give up.
Dude, like, they even show him fighting, like, 4 effing superheroes. And he's just dog-walking with fingers. Really? You couldn't use the ants to push the other ants back? You couldn't do the stompy thing? Or the laser beam thing? Like, there's so many things he could do.
You bring up a great point, the laser beam thing.
Bro, he could have just gunned him down like nobody's business. And he's just like, oh no, Bubble Man. Like, I feel like Bubble Man and Barnacle Boy over here. He's getting his ass whooped.
No.
It made no sense.
No, I totally agree with, like, there's a part in this movie where I was like, man, they're doing some heavy plot armor. Like,
the ants is the heaviest plot lift of all.
No, I mean, yes and no, because, like, right before in that fight with Ant-Man, Cassie, and Wasp against Kang, like before that scene, they show when people get like blasted by his tech, they just vaporize and they're gone, like horrifically gone.
Yeah, well, you can make the bullshit about their suits save them because he's deconstructing or something. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna say the suits save them.
Okay.
The ants don't have suits. The ants don't have suits. The ants are fucked. The ants should have been annihilated. There's no chance. And anyone, I mean this. Anyone out there that says it's fucking Murdoch that sold it, no, it's not. That's such plot armor. That's such plot armor for why the ants get the win. All for the comedic lines.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. I agree.
I don't want to.
I just was like,
I don't want to be in those suits.
Best line in the whole movie.
Oh no, I don't want to be a dick. I'm so
Murdoch throwing his hands up, going, "I don't want to be a dick."
It's Murdoch.
MODOK, whatever. I don't. That's the best line in the movie. He's like crying on the floor. I don't want to be a dick.
If you think about it, they're ants. No matter how smart they are, no matter how much technology they've built to this point, they're fucking ants. So like,
bro is vaporizing planets
that,
at will.
I know.
Kane can
That's my
vaporize a
problem
person
with the
in like
ants,
one hit.
like with the fight against Ant-Man, where it's just like they literally show him using the
It
same
felt like a
blast.
Thanos during Endgame fight, and then he gets bitched out by some ants. Like,
Yeah.
what I'm talking about when Thanos walks down the entire Avengers
yeah. Okay.
and single-handedly dismantles them with all the power gems.
Yeah.
Kills Vision, and then they do the whole snap.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
should have happened. Because that would have been... There's no... Literally, the movie said, he is weaker than Thanos. The man controls time!
Yeah. I get you.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Time
He can just
space.
rewind.
Yeah.
He can just go to another timeline and win.
Yeah.
He's Doctor Strange and Thanos put together.
Yeah.
And they're like, ants. Got him.
Ants. Yeah.
Literally, I got him Staples button. Got him.
That's what I
Like, what? No. There's no way ants win.
That's what I said.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's what I meant when King is more powerful than Thanos in terms of that. But like, if you get your shit like mollywopped by some ants, then I don't know.
You're a bitch. I don't respect you. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
They let him cook for too long.
For real, he got fried.
You could have literally fried his
Bro cooked and then got fried.
No, yeah, because like, no, I agree with you guys. Like, no, like, yeah, I thought like the first time I watched the movie, I was like, that's actually pretty cool. Like how they worked the ants in this movie. Here's the thing: if they just said that his ants took out his army,
Yes.
perfectly okay with that.
Wonderful.
That makes more sense of like because it really just shows like how he was defeated on a philosophy standpoint because he's definitely a fascist dictator, conqueror, colonizer. And he's literally defeated by a socialist colonization of ants and his army. That's fine for me. And if like the ant family found a way to like get past his stuff and it was an actual work to beat him and like it like
If they would have interchanged the people that had been displaced with the ants, it would have made way more sense.
mm-hmm.
If the ants killing the army and then all the people that had been displaced by Kang helped Ant-Man defeat Kang,
Mm-hmm.
that would have made more sense than
Yeah.
the opposite.
Yeah, because also with the ants defeating the army, it also goes to show like, well, no wonder why these people never won because they never had the fucking ants before they came here. Because
Right.
the only reason why they have the ants is because they came down. So, and also like that was Kane's fault because he brought her down. But still, there's all this what if, but we have to judge the movie on what it is.
Yeah.
And personally, for as much as I love Kang, I just goes down to writing and just like
He went out like a bitch.
he just did.
He just
I mean, he did that part. He did. I love the part when he does come back.
He still gets bitched out by some plot armor.
Yeah, that's true.
Really? He was just dog walking all their asses, and now he's beaten up, and a few blaster shots send
Yeah.
him to the shithole. Really?
I mean, I understand.
This felt like any of my anime fans are gonna know. Super Saiyan 2, fucking Gohan against Cell.
I'm sorry, that still was a good fight. I'm
That was a
sorry.
good fight for me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No. Like this felt like Cell losing, where Cell's like, I'm literally the perfect weapon. One random ass blast, and he just loses.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Fights super dope,
you're just-
but he loses over like one
alright,
random plot
alright.
armor piece, and you're like, alright, dog. What?
I thought you were comparing just the fight overall. Just
No,
being
because
like,
that was sick. That's
okay,
one of the best fights in BBC.
Because if you were saying it how me and Max
No,
thought you were saying it,
We would have a fight.
I was about to leave the room.
No, but I was
about
saying
to-
like it's like just
I was
this
about to- I was
random
about to-
plot reason why he loses.
Nah,
But
okay.
in this case, it was
I
like
follow you now.
bittersweet because you already ruined the initial death with the ants.
Yeah.
Now you're like
Okay.
watching him and get his shit rocked. And then the one time you bring in Wasp, a character I don't care about
Okay,
at this point.
I can agree. I can agree with
Yeah,
what you're
by
saying.
the time you bring in Wasp, I don't give a shit if she's there or not.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Alright. Oh, and then they can just go home anyway? They don't even stay?
That's
like,
the biggest-
what the fuck
I
was the
was
point of all of
So
it?
they-
So
they-
ready for the
No.
world
Yeah,
to
hold-
close.
So
Yeah.
so basically, what you're telling me is so that they win and then immediately they're like, oh, time to go back home.
Yeah, no, dead ass.
Then they
Yes.
fuck up being able to go home, and they're like, oh, psych, ha, just gotta hit the button
Literally
again.
within
like,
minutes.
yeah, it's not even more than 3 minutes apart from those two
keyboard
scenes.
clicks.
He's like, wait.
Yeah.
They literally...
Guys, I think we messed up.
Bro, hit escape and then reopen the tab, and all of a sudden we're back here.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we're good, guys,
like,
we're good.
Boop, boop, opens a portal.
Control-C that shit.
There was no risk this entire time.
As
long as one of them got out, it was fine.
If the movie ended with Ant-Man and Wasp
being stuck in the quantum realm
and having to like help that whole civilization like rebuild, that would have been a really.
That's what Max and I were talking about on the car ride back.
Yeah,
that would have made the most sense.
That would have been a good ending.
I think the whole ending should have changed. Kang doesn't die. I think if you would have altered it slightly to where Kang dies by the Council of Kangs for not being able to defeat people or something, and them choosing to embark on this mission, or just, oh, he barely makes it out to tell the council or whatever, like, because they know where he's at. They're obviously keeping tabs on him. Like, there's no believable way for me to believe that Kang loses to them. But like what I'm getting is either they needed to change the ending so that Kang lives, and that implies that the Council of Kangs is like, wow, Kang can be pretty much defeated by them. Then the ending makes sense. He doesn't die. They can't really defeat him, but they neutralize him. He's no longer a threat. He can't do anything.
You know what I just realized?
Or what you guys said.
Like, I'm not
they stay in
thinking
the
about
quantum
this.
realm.
Like, I know they said that, like, with the suit, he can basically create, like, an army and just yada, yada, yada. But I'm thinking now, like, okay, if he were to get out and he didn't bring his time chair bullshit, or, like, the chair or that orb or his army, he can't really do anything. And really, the Avengers can just be like, or Cassie could be like, get that man, and, like get him now.
And what we were talking about in the car on the way back to the movie, if he is a descendant from Reed Richards or something like that, how did he lose to ants?
Yeah.
Or them? He's the smartest man in the universe.
Yeah.
And he's losing to some fucking ex-con and a philanthropist. Yeah. Really? Really? You want me to believe that?
Yep.
Like, come on. You gotta be kidding me.
I don't know.
Like, there's just too many unbelievables in the ending that if you had beef with the movie, you had to have it with the ending.
Oh yeah, that was my
that
was my biggest thing about the movie. Like, I was enjoying it.
If they would have executed on that part, I would have had no complaints.
Oh, yeah.
Everything could have been overwritten by a good ending.
Because
but
even,
the
like,
ending
what
was
you were
just
saying
not
about
good.
like the ending with him like freaking out in his head, I'm like, I don't really give a shit, because like when he's saying like, oh, he was talking about that thing that he was trying to prevent, that bad thing. Did we really win? I was like, yeah, you fucking won. Like, just be happy you have it now, because clearly up to this point, nothing's bad.
I'm not gonna lie, this whole end scene felt like if Hawkeye folded Thanos.
Yeah.
And no one would believe that shit. No one would believe it. Dude, if Hawkeye folded Thanos, everyone would have just been like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, that's what it felt like.
I feel like if that's the case, I feel like...
That's what the ending feels like.
I hate to, like shit talk this movie.
No, but that has to, every Marvel movie is good because the ending supersedes any problems you have with it.
Yes.
I would have left.
That is why all superhero movies are good, no matter how much you sat there or how much you didn't like the build-up. If the ending is rewarding, you will like the movie. The problem with this movie is everything else is serviceable, and then they fuck up the ending.
Yeah, like everything, like I was saying earlier about like with.
It does a poor job setting up the villain too, and if the point of this movie is to set up the villain, and Ant-Man dog walks him with ants, I don't believe he's that powerful.
I really can't.
The reason Thanos felt powerful is because he fucked up the Avengers time and time again as he got the first couple of stones.
Even before the movie started.
Right, and it was completed by the time he got to the end. So you had this feeling of overwhelming power.
Yeah.
And so the changing of the characters where Captain America gets Mjolnir.
Yeah.
And like
that shit was awesome.
and all the other like the girls squad up part where they're all like blowing up huge things, or Thor gets his axe. I can't remember the Stormbreaker.
Yeah,
like there's this big power up that makes them comparable, and they still lose.
Yeah.
So you want me to believe this dude is anywhere near close to Thanos, and he loses to ants?
Time nigga loses to ants.
Like not like she's got a point.
He comes up like, it's me, nigga. I lost to ants.
It's me, time nigga. I lost to ants.
He's like, yeah, it was me.
Ants me, 1 ants, 0 me. Like, bro. Like, come on. Like, if they would have done if they would have done the Kang part first and then moved to Thanos, this would have been believable. But after they beat Thanos, I'm like, really?
Like, really?
I'm supposed to believe that they can't just go anywhere in time because they can time travel now. We got that.
Oh yeah.
They did it.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just travel and go kick his ass real quick.
Yeah, I know.
With all the shit they got, like they really can't. That's not possible. It doesn't believably set up a villain for me.
Yeah, I totally understand, and like this whole.
He should have made it out alive. That would have made sense to me. Why he should be a threat.
Him making it out alive.
But I'm also thinking like how
living to tell the tale, or like being in prison or something, and like plotting revenge.
Well, he just shouldn't have been killed.
No,
Killing him makes no sense here.
You know what? It's really funny you just said about him being in prison. That's literally why he's down there. They call him.
He's exiled.
He's exiled because a month
by the other Kangs.
By because at the end of the movie, during the first post credit, you see like this huge ass coliseum with giant ass Kang statues everywhere, and you see like 3 different versions of Kang. First one is a guy in a pharaoh costume, Pharaoh Ramatut, who's from the comics, and then a teched out cyborg looking one, and then one that's in this like weird priest-looking outfit.
It's like a priest and a zombie put together.
Yeah, and is Immortus. That's the character of Immortus, who is a Kang. I'm just being nerdy, but like,
no problem.
And this shows that this Kang dynasty is really just millions of Kangs, like all ready to go to war, because they're afraid now that. Well, it's kind of funny now that Ant-Man has defeated Kang, or as they just say, as these people are starting to tap into the multiverse, they are like, okay, we now need to like get our shit together, like,
because they're gonna take the multiverse and make it theirs if we don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like they're gonna like ruin everything that we've built.
Okay.
And like the whole point of like Kangs are just like they want to have control over the timeline, every timeline that they're in, and there's multiple versions of Kang. Here's the problem I have with this, though. It's a cool concept, immediately, of just, like, this council of this really bad villain. I think, though, it's... My biggest fear with that, though, is the inverse ninja theory. Have you ever heard of this? So what it is it's this screenwriting thing where in film and TV or anime or whatever, one ninja being shown to, like, take out multiple groups of people is threatening and badass. But when you have a main character fight multiple ninjas who are supposed to be on the same level, they're immediately weaker because they're in numbers. So for this entire movie, we're shown that just one is like this big, bad, tough guy. I mean, ants aside. Now my fear is, okay, is this just going to be inverse ninja theory? Because, like, there's millions of these guys. And all I really want is just to care about one. Like, I don't... Like, honestly, like, I'm just thinking now, like, you're going to see the new Avengers Kang Dynasty. And on the poster, do you really want to go see a movie that has a pharaoh, a random-looking... Robot guy, and then a fucking, like, priest-looking dude? Because I'm like, that doesn't look threatening to me. That just looks stupid.
So...
That does sound stupid.
I
can't see it right now.
I agree with that. Except if they write that fight like how they wrote the Infinity War fight, it won't feel like Thanos is weaker.
Sam Ryder.
Yeah.
No, they've announced that the same writer who did this movie is working on the next Avengers.
Oh, well, then I don't know about this concept.
So
all I'm saying, though, if they can execute in a way where they make them differentiable enough, it'll just feel like an army.
Yeah.
If they have a focus on a certain kind, like a almost more evolved Kang, like a higher level of Kang, right? Then I'll have some stake. But if they all feel it like they're at the same power level, it's going to be a problem.
Because like the problem when you have like multiple villains in the movie, and this movie has that problem too, if you really think about it. You don't know which one to really focus on. Like, who's your main threat? Like with Thanos, it was Thanos. He was distinct. He was purple.
But he had his little squad team.
Yeah,
but they weren't Thanos.
But they're all like grayish aliens. He's even like character design. Like he's purple. He's distinct. He's different from the rest. For this one, it's just like, okay, yeah, it's all Jonathan Majors just doing. I mean, good for him to he gets to basically play the same character in so many different ways. That's kind of cool. I think that's cool for him. But for me, I'm like, I can see you doing silly accents for only so long, but can you like get like I want to see this Kane again, like the exiled one, because this one sounded very interesting to me of like his story about like fuck all these people and like screw them because
they can all go to hell.
Yeah, literally, he says that. He wants to burn them out of time. So I'm just like
the other Kangs. Yeah,
the other Kangs.
Okay, no, I was about to say I felt like that's where this was gonna go.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just like I would rather like I don't know. I just feel like that is what I like.
You like the soul villain trope more than
It's
the.
not even a trope. It's a more focused story.
Yeah, but if you look at all the Avengers movies, they all have one main villain with an army.
That's fair. I mean,
Loki has his army he borrows. Ultron has the army he builds. Thanos has the army he took.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, it's bound to have some sort of army aspect to it.
Oh, no, but, like, I get it. I'm okay with
The
the army
only difference is this one is probably going, for me, to be written like Ultron.
Yeah.
They're going to be mouthpieces of the three Kangs that govern them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be some unique aspects of it.
Like, I just don't know, like... I mean, part of me is like, okay, well... There's so many, like, now creative ways they can go about action sequences with all these different Kanes, but I'm also like, yeah, to be fair, it did take a group of ants to defeat him, but still, like, the ant family did have a hard time with one. And you're meaning me to believe that, like, Shun-Chi and She-Hulk could take on these guys? Hell no. Like, I mean, from, like, a story-based standpoint, I'm like... It's an interesting, like, underdog story, but I'm like, you gotta, like, give me something to believe here, because even with, like, oh yeah, Thanos and Infinity Gauntlet, I'm like, well, it's a tough fight, but it's a fight. Like, I feel like there's 3 points I want to get to before we end this off. I think I want to say, one that's really for the whole room, or most of the room. Let's talk about MODOK real quick, because I have very mixed feelings on him, and I want to hear y'all's point of view first.
I think he's meant to be somewhat of a comical relief.
Yeah, I was gonna say very much comic relief.
He only really ever shows up to break some tension between either the infighting among the ant family, or the things moving with, like plot parts.
I thought
of the
the
villain.
stuff with him was really funny. Like
there was it was good.
Like what you said, like I'm just a dick.
I'm just a bitch.
And all the collective Darren.
Oh
yeah.
That's
like no one's afraid of him. Like
oh my god,
what happened to you, Darren?
It's Mo.
And well, spurring the spoilers. His death scene is fucking hilarious.
God,
that
this
was
shit was
some
so
funny shit.
I'm an Avenger.
Sure
you are.
Everyone's like,
at least I died in Avenger.
They're like,
yeah.
They're like, who's gonna tell him? I'm not gonna tell him.
I audibly in the theater went like, that's not how it works, Sweaty.
No.
Sorry.
Sweaty thumb,
I
man.
will say, like, I feel like
it's like, hey, bro.
Dude, he looks like a big toe. It does unsettle me. I think, to be fair, the second time for Max watching it and the first time for me, our friend Sheldon was just making it so much funnier. Watching, he was like grossed out at it. He was like, "Oh my god, get it off the screen." Get it off. Like, he actually was like, get it off the screen.
No,
I can't look at this. Like, he was like verbally disgusted at how he looked, which made it infinitely funnier.
I think it's intentional because, like, I even showed him the picture and be like, no, this is real. Like, this is an actual character.
It's like,
He was
no, he's
get
for
the
real.
fuck out. I was just like, because I know, like, I've seen MODOK in, like, a bunch of animated stuff. And here's the thing about MODOK. He's a joke character. I mean, look at him. He's never meant to be taken seriously. And just hoopla about people being like, oh, they ruined MODOK. I'm like, no, they didn't. They gave the best explanation they could for why this exists. Because every other version of this has done it in a really dumb way, or like a really like, oh, okay, so how is this one guy gonna get that big of a head and his little body's just gonna still hold there? Like, in this, it was like, okay, because he shrunk down, everything went disproportional, and that's why he has this big-ass head. I was like, okay, sure.
Got
we'll
legs
accept
there.
it. Yeah.
What about it?
Yeah. Your little baby legs. It looks like you're in a baby carriage.
Yeah.
That cracked me up.
That was good.
I thought it was funny. I was just like, yeah, and just the... I love the part, too, where, like, Scott's in that, like,
Box.
Schrodinger's box or Schrodinger's cat and stuff. He's in that. I love that scene, by the way. I thought that was a really well-directed scene. I thought that was, like, the most creative. Just side point.
That was
There's stuff, again, there's stuff in this movie that I'm like, this is really fun, and that's really cool and really funny. Like that whole scene where like, different Scots. I thought that was cool.
The Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, the Baskin Robbins.
Baskin Robbins Scott's my favorite Scott.
But like
or the fucked up cake. That was pretty good too.
Funny. But like
birthday.
But like the part where he's just like he's on the comm with MODOK and he's just like Darren, are you there? MODOK.
Yeah.
Hey Scott, how you doing?
Yeah.
I was just like,
yeah, his commitment to the trope of MODOK is.
The actor made it like.
That's
10 times
it's hard
better.
to say the actor made it because it's almost all CG, but just the way like.
No, the delivery definitely mattered.
Oh yeah, the delivery really.
He made it very funny.
But I also feel like his face made it even funnier because like that dumbass smile he would have. I was like, hey, look at the new and improved me.
It feels like they picked him to do the original movie specifically so they could do this. I don't know how it worked out so well, but it feels like that was the intention.
I feel like
but there's no way.
I feel like they lucked out.
Yeah.
And they were like, how are we going to do this MODOK thing? Like, we want to have MODOK, but how are we going to do that? And then they, like, looking over the footage of Ant-Man, and they're just looking at it, and they're just like, wait, hold on.
Remember, like, the beginning of social media when they let you, like, do the filters on your photos? It looks like someone just took the wide face filter and, like, slapped it into a character box.
Remember the villain from Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Yeah.
That's what I said! Which is insulting, because I would never want to compare a movie to that movie.
Right, I was about to say, timeless classic.
Yeah, I don't want to look at
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, like, why am I looking at this?
Other than Kang, it
Why
feels
am I
like they
looking at
did every single side character better developed than the main cast.
Here's the funny thing, like, I
want to torture him. Why do you always want to torture everybody? What is your problem?
Okay, the guy who was like...
With the telepathy guy, he says it like 3 times in the crowd. It's like, what is your problem?
What is your issue?
He stops with the interrogation. And it's just like, will you just shut the fuck up? Like, what is your issue? We don't need to torture them. It's not helpful. They don't know anything.
I know you like that guy, but
I love that guy.
love the weird little gooey alien who's
He's so funny.
You know
I have holes.
No,
You know what that reminds me of? Do you know what the Torture Guys reminds me of?
Huh.
I know you guys have heard about this game that came out recently where with all the different weapons that can talk. And it,
High on
the knife, High on Life, and
yeah.
the knife, he reminds me of the knife.
I want to stab him.
Yeah,
Let me stab him.
Yeah, he's like, let's stab somebody. Come on, like, put me through his stomach.
I want to see his guts come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He reminds me of that guy.
But the gooey
That's
alien.
so funny.
Oh my god.
That guy was. I think his name was Veb.
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, it was.
Do you have holes? 7.
No.
Wow.
No, my favorite part was like the pause
Wait.
when they were like thinking about like. Wait a minute. Like, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got 7.
Yeah.
That's why I said, wait a minute. I was like.
That's why I love Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. He's just so, like, he's already a charismatic person, but when you bring that character...
I was literally there. I was like, wait.
Like, he just brought it to life, and I was like, yes.
The part where he's like, "Can I see you?" And he's like, "Leave it
No.
alone. You're making them uncomfortable."
7.
Oh.
7.
The telepathy guy, for the
I
short
got it.
time he's on screen, does a freaking great job.
No, I hate that I hate that I was like on cue with how Paul did the movie where I was like, wait a minute. I was like 7 holes. I was like, wait a minute. I was counting them in my head. I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was like, okay. I was like, wait, 7. I was like, oh, 7. Okay.
Yeah, I had to do that in the theater too because I was like, wait. Oh yeah.
The leader lady.
I was like, son of a bitch, she's got it down.
Oh yeah, the leader lady.
Literally, it was so funny because it was.
This was like her
Max-
first big role too.
Yeah, it was. We saw Oliver and Kennedy, 2 of our friends there, and so.
Oh, they just happened to be
when
at the
she showed
movies
up on
too?
screen, Kennedy
We'll talk
literally
later.
went
Yeah, that shit
smash,
was
and I was
hilarious.
like, "What did you say?"
Dude.
She would
Wait,
smash.
what?
What, Kennedy said that?
Kennedy said that.
Of course Kennedy said
You're
that.
right. I was supposed to say it.
No, yeah, I mean like
It was funny, but I was
she
like,
could crush me. So we talked about
It
MODOK. We
it
pretty
looks
much got all
more
of our
like
thoughts
it
on
is.
MODOK out of the way. I think
Oh.
I might just have.
She had questions.
I
Should we let
did.
her do her
You
questions?
kind of answered the questions though.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I can,
Cool.
I don't want to
Yeah.
like she prepared questions
Oh,
and
were
everything.
you?
No, I remember too.
was one of the points, or the points you're about to bring up was low key?
We could talk about that first.
Just
and then
very
we'll say
briefly. I lost my shit.
Oh, I know. I know. She
So-
saw Tom Hiddleston and literally pushed the bag of popcorn onto me,
Oh,
and
she
it
told me about
spilled
this.
everywhere.
She told me about this. She didn't tell me what the cutscene was, but she was like, "Oh, one of the cutscenes like."
What is so important about Tom Hiddleston?
Okay, look.
It's
I
Tom
said
Hiddleston.
to be
Bitches go
fair,
crazy
I
for
said
Tom Hiddleston.
Loki. Oh my god! And I knocked it everywhere. Not Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston is he's fine, but like Loki, I was like, I got excited. I was like, oh shit, Loki's here. That's dope. So I knocked over the popcorn.
No, you did not just go, that's dope. You screamed and squealed at, it's Loki! And then just hit the whole thing. Like, you...
Let me live my life. It was a great time. I'm glad he was there.
But the post-credit, or end-credit scene pretty much just shows that, like, Loki and Owen Wilson from the show Loki are going throughout time and basically finding different Kang variants and just hunting them down.
He looked like Frederick Douglass, bro.
He did, but I did look up. They're not making him Frederick Douglass. They're making him a character named Victor Timely.
Thank God.
I was gonna say
that would have been so bad if they would have historically lined that up. If they made him hunt down Frederick Douglass, also known as Kang, that would come off really bad.
Dude, you know how bad that would have been?
The world would be
Happy Black History Month.
Let's move out of the fucking year, man. Fuck this, it's turned into a Black History Month video. Fuck that.
Take it over.
I'm gonna take it over. This is our crew now. This is our gang.
It's Kang. The reason why we were afraid he looked, that they were gonna make him Frederick Douglass is because the hair he had, like...
He does. He was styled very much after the most known photo of Frederick Douglass.
That's fair. That's fair.
I was like...
But it was mostly a style of the time.
It was more like, it was also like... trying to show, like, he's a quirky scientist from, like, the 19...
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass wasn't a scientist, though.
I know.
My brothers and all.
My brothers and all.
My brothers.
All the black people at Marvel are just like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Not just the people at Marvel, everyone watching the scene, like...
Yeah, everyone watching the scene, just... Especially the
quiet
people,
side-eye.
just they went from, like, a relaxed scene, they went to a lean forward where they squint their eyes, they're like,
I was like...
Like, where you
in
going
my head,
with
I'm like,
this?
this can't be Frederick Douglass, right?
They don't do it. It's a character named Victor Timely, who was a character, like a really fucking obscure character from the comics that I had to learn online.
No, yeah, I heard about him, but I had no idea.
It's just a reference to the fact that Marvel Comics, before it was Marvel, was called Timely Comics.
Oh, that's where I heard that from.
So they call it's a character in the comics that's made to reference that, and they just retroactively made him a Kang. Because
they did that for a couple of the other things, right?
Yeah, like the Pharaoh Ramatut was a Fantastic Four villain, and then they retroactively made him a Kang because he was a guy from the future who went back in time to conquer Egypt. First thought that I want to end this off, Marvel, please stop hiring Rick and Morty writers for this stuff.
Rick and Morty.
All right.
I think that's where
my brain went the same
I'm just really like... I think they're fine for when they do Rick and Morty. It's just nothing in that show has ever really got to me, so I never really cared for it. I know, you can make all the jokes about how I have a lower IQ. I don't give a shit. But...
That's what the recent news of...
Yeah, that too.
It's just not...
I don't think it reflects on the writers, but
it doesn't reflect on the writers. It's just like a bad taste in people.
I don't know. I don't watch enough Rick and Morty to.
I don't think you take comedy writers to write an action movie. I just don't think it's going to translate super well.
Well, I would
typically.
There's exceptions.
On a normal basis.
I've seen people like Jordan Peele, known really funny comedy writer, now really known horror. And with no kind of action movie director.
But that's different. Horror is built on drama and when to throw a punch.
That's true.
And that is similar to comedy. Nothing about action is synonymous with things about comedy.
It's only throwing
You can put comedy in action, but you typically don't put action in comedy. Exactly. It has to be formulated around the comedy mostly if you're going to put action in.
I guess that's also the thing. I would see more people who write dramas should write more action.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's more about, like, raising stakes.
It just makes more sense.
Yeah. And I feel like Marvel, and this is kind of dovetails into, like, the thing that I also have a question about, like, just for the room in general. After this movie, I'm kind of a little bit, I'm going to say this, and I never thought I would actually be here. I'm kind of getting a little burnt out of, like...
Marvel in general?
A little bit, because I'm like, after Black Panther, I was like, okay, they're going to get back on track.
Yeah.
Or start gonna actually like having movies that are like a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
A little bit more like with actual stakes and like taking themselves seriously. And then we get Ant-Man, this one, and I'm like, no, this is just more of the same. And like, I don't know where we're going with this. I mean, yeah, the Kanes, I already knew that there was a bunch of Kanes. But how does that affect all the stories that I'm going to be seeing for the next year and couple of years going forward? It's just that I'm like, I lost that like ability to just be like, nah, you guys are just like Marvel haters and like, you guys just don't like.
You don't get it.
You don't get it. And now I'm kind of like.
I'm like, damn, I see what they were talking about.
I see what they're talking about.
Suddenly, I understand everything.
I really think there's 3 camps. 2 fall on the kind of fuck Marvel side, and 1 falls on the non.
I'm definitely not fuck Marvel, but I'm like,
No,
guys,
but
get your shit together real quick, please.
No,
It's
I'm getting it.
the
I'm
people
getting it.
that start to have that approach, I feel like, either expect too much,
That's fair.
or they are extremely true to the comics, so they have an issue when they make adaptation. Like, so the 2 people that are most sick of what they're doing are people that are like, you're not being true to the source material, you're changing things to fit an agenda, some other, this, that, the other, whatever their opinion is. And the people that their expectations are too high. I have yet to be disappointed by a Marvel movie.
Yes.
Because every Marvel movie I go into, I go, this is an action movie at its core. There will be story, but I will appreciate the story for what it is, and I will enjoy the action for what it is.
But I'll enjoy
like,
the fights for the fight.
So, like, I'm going to base it in another form of media. My example for this is game series like Resident Evil. Oh, I really love Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 because they have this formula.
Yeah.
Oh, you changed the formula a little, which doesn't mean it's a bad game. If I enter at Resident Evil 4, I like Resident Evil 4. But the person that liked Resident Evil 3 may not like Resident Evil 4 because it's not Resident Evil 3.
Exactly.
So, I think the problem is everyone's going in with what they expect or want it to be. You want it to be personal stories. You want it to fit this thing. I'm going in saying an action movie is an action movie. And whatever the action movie is going to do, it just better have good action.
I'm just saying the reason why I am expecting those things because, like, from their record, like, Phase 3 with, like, from Civil War to Endgame, pretty much all of those movies were, like, I don't think there was, like, a single real dud.
I disagree. I thought Captain America 1 wasn't a good movie.
No. But, I mean, Civil War 2.
Oh. Yeah, okay, but what about all the originals? I didn't like Iron Man 1, I didn't like Captain America 1.
That's crazy.
Like, in comparison to the stuff I've seen now, I don't think they're good.
Okay.
But it doesn't change how I viewed them when I first viewed them the first time. I thought they were fine. Now I watch these other ones, I'm like, this is shit. In comparison, not in comparison to other movies, but in comparison to their other stuff, if you base everyone off their peak success, you're forever going to be let down. You're never going to get a character writing as good as the progression of, like, Iron Man throughout his series. You're never going to get as high peak action as the end of
I think I was just
Infinity War.
Yeah.
I think what it is maybe it is, but it probably is more expectation. But it's also like I expect you guys to at least put in the same amount of effort, at least you did for those movies.
But to me, they are. They're just not what you want out of it.
It's just
I
not.
don't think that they're putting.
I
in
feel
the
like it's
effort
just
for
that it's not at that level of like Endgame or Infinity War.
I don't want that though. I
Yeah,
don't want that.
I'm not
I
saying-
just want like.
I'm not saying that you do.
I
just want,
disagree.
like,
I think
here's the thing. For the Black Panther was the movie where I was like, oh no, they actually want to make just a good movie. Like I just want to see a good movie.
go back and watch Iron Man 3 and then watch Black Panther or the newest Ant-Man, and I bet you'll have the same opinion about both movies.
About like.
You'll both think they're just okay.
Oh yeah.
I think the problem is no one's seen a not amazing movie in Infinity War, like Endgame and Infinity War and Civil War all back to back. No one's seen that in years now. It's been years.
Yeah.
It's been a long
I agree.
time.
Since we've had an origin story movie. Those things are boring as fuck in comparison to these newer ones. You say that in hindsight.
I mean,
No, I don't.
Like, when you watched it, you liked it.
No.
You watch this stuff. You went back and watched it. It's nowhere near as good as it was the first time.
No. I'm gonna say this.
Okay.
I can agree with you about Infinity War and Endgame. Me personally, I thought Civil War had a decent amount of story, but still produced for me a good enough fight scene to where I was satisfied.
I like Civil War.
I like Civil War.
I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm not saying that you didn't, but just the fact that I definitely am like on a different boat between Infinity War and Endgame, and then like Civil War. It's just like two different. Even though they're part of the same franchise and there are like similarities,
Very different vibes.
very different vibes.
Mhm.
Story, action, like everything is so different. Like there's such a different atmosphere, and I feel like the atmosphere. If I was to go rewatch all three of those movies, I feel like Civil War would be my favorite for me out of those three, personally.
Really? Okay.
Just because of the action. The action felt like, for me, I felt like the action did both, where it was a good fight, and then it added story to the fight as well. So I felt like I was getting two sides of the same coin, and it was a win for me, I felt like.
If I wanted to watch a good character story, I'd go watch Civil War. If I wanted to watch a good villain superhero movie, I'd go watch the Endgame series.
Exactly.
Like the Endgame Infinity War.
Yeah.
trilogy.
If I'm going for a fight, I'm going to Civil War.
I just think people forget how rather basic the movies were for origin stories.
Yeah.
And now they've been treated to these like
Very
huge
extreme.
productions. And now they want to critique how, on nostalgia mostly, how good they are.
I just felt like the reason why we fell in love with a lot of these characters was because we saw their origin, and it's cool to see like how people become these things, because that's what Marvel excels at, is like regular everyday people, or for the most part everyday people, basically giving this power opportunity that makes them different from the rest. And like for me, I've always loved. That's why I think like Shang-Chi is like one of my favorites of the past couple years, because I just love seeing characters step up. Like, I don't know. I love seeing like origin stories and characters.
No, I
like,
just think
the
it's
hero-
crazy you have
the
a
hero's
problem with
journey.
Ant-Man and you like Shang-Chi.
I like stories that involve like really personal stakes between characters.
I feel like you should read the comic book then.
No, because you know what? I'm gonna say no to that, because Shang-Chi in the comics is dog shit.
No, I'm saying generally you should go read the comic, because you're asking for them to expose the entire, like, in the comics, what took years to build in
I'm not
2.5
asking for
hours.
that. I'm just asking because they changed so much of that character for the movie. I prefer the movie version, so I want to see the movie version go through like the hero's journey.
Right, but I'm saying...
And it did work for me.
But I'm saying, like, your problem with Ant-Man is an issue of timing. They can't do everything you want them to do in that shorter period of time.
If
Your
we're gonna
expectation is to be an equivalent level to the
So I'm
built up
expecting
story.
movies to just be good.
I thought it was good for what it was.
Okay, like I thought the movie was just fine, but like I thought the movie was just fun. And I can't really say it's good because I did have all those problems with it. I just think it's fun.
Sure, but you laughed, you enjoyed it, whatever.
That's what I mean.
Is that not good?
I feel like
I can laugh at bad things.
But I feel like
but then you don't enjoy it typically. You're just laughing at
no,
it.
I feel like there's a difference. I feel like for Max it's not
I
good,
don't know, I just feel
but
like
it's satisfactory. I
Yes.
think the word is he's trying to
I'm
say.
satisfied. I had a good time in the movie theaters, but I just don't think it's a good movie.
To me, that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was about
To
to
me,
say.
that's good.
I feel like there's definitely a difference between good and satisfied.
Yeah.
It's not a big difference.
I would say it's true,
But
but
it's-
not
it's a
when you
there's a
consume
visible
media.
Yeah, there's this visible line. I mean, that line is in different places for different people, obviously.
See,
I just felt like the movie that they were trying to make
Mhm.
and the overall product
Mhm.
just wasn't, in my opinion, great, or it was just fine.
yeah, it was
just-
good.
But I feel like, because I've been sitting here just thinking, that's why
Mhm.
I've been silent for like the past 10 minutes, but
No, you're good. Go
at
ahead.
its core, it's an action movie. And
Yeah.
if you want to be specific, it's a Marvel action movie, so we have so many expectations for it. So when it doesn't satisfy, you're like, damn.
You're like, why'd I come?
But like that's what I'm saying. When you consume media,
Yeah.
I mean, we are really not made. Yeah.
right? When you consume media, if it's not good, it's bad.
Oh no, I don't think this movie is like entirely bad.
Then it's good because this is like the crux of
I'm
it.
so confused because I'm not.
You're stating that you're using this satisfactory line. If
Yeah.
I go spend 2.5 hours on something
Like, I'm
and
not
it's
gonna go
just just okay, and someone asks me should I watch it, I'm gonna be like, I wouldn't watch it. I didn't think it was good for the amount of time I put into it.
I think this movie is just gonna be different for everybody. Like for me, I enjoyed it on a. It reminded me of watching some really cheesy '70s sci-fi movies.
So to a
Then
comedic
it's
level.
good for what it was. I'm trying
Well,
to
no,
show
no.
you that
Well,
the
no,
canvas-
actually, no. If that's the case, then no, because Aleah just said Marvel's like action movies. He enjoyed it to a comedic level.
Or
If
at
that's
least
the
I
case-
enjoyed like.
No, I'm not joshing. You hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I feel
I
like
have to defend myself.
I'm not shooting shots at you.
Okay.
I'm just saying that if that's the case, then it didn't meet its expectation.
then it's bad for him.
No. No.
I don't think this movie's either good or bad. I just think it's fine.
it's neutral.
It's fine and fun.
Yeah, satisfactory.
And that's
satisfactory.
And
Neutral.
fine. If you want to say that's a bad movie, that it just didn't leave that much of an impression on me, then fine. I'll say it's a bad
I'm just
movie.
saying, like, you strictly need to, like...
I don't think movies should be like, if it's not good, if it's not great, it's just bad. I don't think movies should be
I'm
like
not
that.
saying it has to be great. I'm saying it has to be good.
I feel like
What I'm getting at here is what I'm saying is that if you go invest 2.5 hours into something and it wasn't what you thought it is, that means it's bad. It should be worth or better than what you expected it to be. And by that metric, it would be good.
I actually don't know if I agree with that.
So if you go play a sport, let's say you go hang out with your friends.
That's highly unlikely.
All right, whatever. All right, fine. Let's say your friends invite you out. Let's say your friends invite you out for dinner.
Okay.
You go to dinner.
Okay.
You get your food,
Uh-huh.
and it's just okay. It's just not great. It's a little cold. Don't whatever. It's gonna be like that place is bad. Let's not go back there.
Here's the thing, though. I'll add one more element to that I feel like this movie could add. You did say going out with friends. What if I enjoyed my time with my friends?
Then you enjoyed your time with your friends. The movie's still bad. That is not. Those are separate.
No.
Actually, it's still the
Because
experience.
I could have enjoyed going to dinner and not liked my food.
No.
Those are two different things.
All right,
I went to the movie theater, saw an Ant-Man movie, enjoyed the fun Paul Rudd. I enjoyed Kane. I enjoyed all this. I just don't think that the certain things in this were that good. So
Then
I
the
should-
movie's not that good.
No.
The movie is bad. Like what?
No, guys, hold on. I'm gonna step in for a sec. All right, explain the whole scenario again to me,
Jesus.
and then I'm gonna tell you how. I'm gonna tell you. Actually, don't even have to explain it. All right, so you're saying that if
I like this session.
we're running in circles here, but hold
I
on.
feel like we are.
No,
No, I feel like you guys are just wrong. You just want to
no,
admit it.
it's not. It's not that.
I don't think I'm wrong.
No,
Clearly.
Yeah.
no, it's the fact. All right, so you can go to a place and like have.
I mean, I'm having
Oh,
fun. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
am
I'm
too.
having
No,
fun.
I'm having a
It's
great
fun.
time.
Like I don't.
So you go out to a place, you get food. It's just okay. Doesn't mean the place is bad. It just means that you wouldn't go back to that place.
Which means it's bad.
No, it's
No.
okay. There's a neutral. There could be a good and there can be a bad, but there can also be something in the goddamn middle. That's the silver lining.
Okay, but anything in the middle is not something you whether like
Just because it's in the
no,
middle doesn't mean
just
it's bad,
because you don't
but
want to
it's
be
not
a
good
dick
either.
doesn't mean that it's not bad.
You're
if something
taking it
is
off
just
track.
no, because if something is just okay, are you gonna go back to that place?
No,
If the
but
food
that
is
doesn't
bad-
mean it's bad. That doesn't mean it's bad though.
Okay, but what is synonymous with bad decision? Something you're not going to do again, something you don't want to experience
Who's
again,
saying-
something you don't want to see
Who's
again.
saying it's a bad decision?
Yeah, I'm not saying.
Where are you getting this bad decision stuff
No,
from?
I'm saying that humans in the way we choose things, like humans.
Nah, man. All right, keep going.
No.
Keep going.
Let them mile to the door.
Keep going. Keep going.
Explain.
Okay.
I can't wait to
Okay.
hear the audio just hit.
No, because you guys aren't being genuine with yourselves.
No,
No, you're not. Because you're not
What?
thinking about any scenario outside of what you're trying to prove to me right now.
I'm thinking outside.
If you go to an event and you meet somebody,
Yes.
they come up to your table and you talk to them, and they were just okay, there is a super low improbable chance you will ever try to speak to that person again. Intentionally. If your interaction was just so-so...
Well, now you just gave me a whole different scenario.
No, but the concept is the same. Whatever the medium is doesn't matter.
You're aging best
This
friend.
is fucking Ant-Man. It's not a person.
Every circle we run in is aging 5
Oh,
years.
we're past the fucking Ant-Man. I'm trying to get you to understand my point about the camps.
This is an Ant-Man review.
I don't fucking care. Like, because now I'm on one. Now you guys got me fucking on one. So I'm going to make you understand.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Back around the track. Let's go. Let's go back around the track.
What I am saying is that when something, there is always a good or a bad. Saying something is alright or okay is disingenuous to how you really feel about it. And the reason is because you may say that as a way to reason yourself into saying it's okay, but what your genuine feeling is more negative, most likely, than saying something is okay. If my food is cold, when I got my cold food, I was like, oh, that tastes like shit. And then I eat a little more, I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But my waitress was nice, so that kind of makes up for it a little bit. But that has nothing to do with the fact whether you liked or not the food.
Or
that had to do with the encompassing experience. So the movie, on principle, would be bad.
Or
No. Let me finish.
All right.
The movie is
Wait.
bad. The movie is bad. The experience of going is good. Those are two different things. I enjoyed making jokes with my friends. I enjoyed making fun of Marduk, whatever the fuck. I enjoy Kang. Because my friends offered a lot of great points about why those were good things.
Okay.
And you know what? There was some action, and I went to go see action. I got action.
Okay.
That's fine. But the movie was not good. If you ask me, is there good action? I will say yes. Would you say the movie's overall good? No. Those are different things.
So, oh my god. Okay.
hold on.
All right. Now.
Or we're just gonna go back. We're gonna backtrack since we're going in circles anyway.
Holy shit.
Or-
dog. Smell the fucking feet wet.
Or before just anyone explains anything to you, maybe it was just maybe it just was alright for you. Maybe it just was satisfying for you.
Maybe I was just overwhelmed.
Yeah, maybe before even anyone gives you their opinion, it has anything to say before they butt in. Maybe your opinion is just neutral, to where like right at the beginning, where it's like, oh, it's not bad, it's okay, and it's not anyone influencing you. Maybe that just happens at the get-go, and no one just butts in and is like, oh, wait, and tries to defend tries to defend whatever topic or food it is, or movie for that reasoning, and you're just like, oh, it's neutral. Like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible either. So maybe, I'm just saying that it can be satisfying. There is something that can be satisfying, and it's not just bad, right?
I think those are fair. I think that's a fair way to speak on it.
Thank you.
For me, the only difference being is that I agree with all those points. I do think that's genuine. I think that's a genuine way to put it.
All right.
But like,
We're getting somewhere now.
Somewhere.
no, because for me, this is you
I guess
guys are
you're
gonna go, whoa, extreme turn. But you know what? At this point, I don't really
He
care.
already brought
Yeah. No. Okay. So you guys.
I'm waiting for this one moment.
It's gonna
now.
go even crazier.
I'm waiting for
right,
this one
right,
moment
right.
now.
So it's gonna take a crazy turn, but hear me out to the end to try to make it make sense to you.
Hey.
So, when you hear that someone, let's just say that you hear that, oh, someone's on trial for murder, right? You assume that it's bad, right? Because murder's bad, right? It's bad, outright. We would say it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Genuinely, when you think about murder, you assume some sort of scenario in your head that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that person did it in defense of their child?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Their child's getting attacked, they killed somebody.
Still murder.
It's still murder.
Still
It's
murder.
still bad. But there is some redeeming quality to it.
Oh
That doesn't make it okay. It's still bad.
I can't.
But there are all those factors you just listed that would constitute as okay, but the thing is still bad. There's just points that are understandable about it. But that is still bad or still good.
So you're comparing. Just want to make this clear. You're comparing Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No, I'm not.
No.
Self-defense.
No.
You're mixing it up now.
I'm talking.
Asshole.
Yeah, you're feeding the flames. I see you. We both see you, actually.
I was about to say, I was like, hold on now. Now you're fucking.
All I was trying to explain was that you're not being genuine when you say something is okay because you're too scared to make a decision on if it is good or if it is bad. But there are something can be bad and you can enjoy things from it. That doesn't mean it's not bad. Something can be good and you can detract things from it. That doesn't mean it's not good.
Okay.
But it must be one or the other. To be okay is just not truly stating an opinion on it either way.
I'm just kind of like, very much just, this is fun to listen to, by the way. I love
It's
when
just-
you-
I bet it
it's funny
is,
when you
yeah.
guys argue, it's hilarious, because in my head I'm just like, walking through a garden of flowers. I'm completely checked out. But while I was thinking
probably
in
the
the
best
garden of
place to be.
flowers in my head, I just feel like this is just a debate between good and bad, and what's good to someone.
Yeah.
We all have our different definitions of what's good and bad. Like, obviously, murder, we can all agree that murder's bad, but we're talking about a fucking Marvel movie. This shit, it's like,
Yeah.
dog, like, I don't know, man.
Oh no, we're just fighting. Max and I argue over philosophy of
I
how
know,
we view
it's
things.
so
That's
fun.
all this
It's so
is.
fun.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, this is just a philosophy debate.
Well, I don't give a shit whether you like the movie or not. Like
Then why
that.
the fuck did you just call me out and be like,
Because
why
your
do you
opinion
make
is
this
wrong.
fucking
Because
cut?
your Max Cadell's opinion is wrong, and I don't agree with it. So I'm calling you out specifically and your way of thinking about it. I am not letting you cook. I have overburnt my popcorn and I am throwing it at you like rocks. I will indoctrinate you into my philosophy whether you like it or not. Everyone else can like it, hate it, not like it. They can fucking fall asleep during it. I don't care.
It's
But-
like I invited a YouTube hater to like come
Correct.
in and like just.
And you know what? It's
review
great
a movie.
commentary.
I love
It makes it exciting.
It's fun.
Because, like, I'll acknowledge that your opinions have merit and they have weight. I just don't agree with them. And I'm going to try to explain to you why you should agree with mine. And you're going to go home and you're not going to give a shit.
Conversation sparked from, like, genuine, like, criticism to just you guys, like,
Just petty argument.
going in on it.
It wasn't
I
even
thought
about
we
the
actually,
movie.
I thought everyone that contributed to the conversation brought up very fair points
Oh,
as
no,
to why
yeah.
their opinion was
I
correct.
definitely agreed with a lot of Aleah's points. I didn't know that I also had criticism that were your points as well. Even Nile, like, you didn't even see the movie.
Niall brought up some good shit, I will say.
For someone who definitely didn't see it, that was pretty incredible.
Yeah, you followed on pretty damn well.
What can I say?
Just,
There's nothing else to say.
yeah, there's...
I really thought you were going to say it was Black History Month.
I
again.
really
It
did.
is.
I thought, dude, I saw the smirk. I'm like, oh, here it comes.
It's fun.
Never let them know your next move.
Bro through the red
You
shell
mean
for
your
real.
next move, aka doing nothing.
They think you're gonna throw a move. You just don't.
You just stand there,
Just
menacingly.
stand
Just sit there with a smile on your face.
Alright. Well, that was an episode. Okay. I'm Max Kellerhalls. With me today we had...
Aleah.
Zach.
Nile.
Ha!
What?
You looked at me and you immediately started smiling and giggling.
Because you're great, man.
Thanks.
Just the way you just said it's so just exhausted.
I-
What fucking ever.
Yeah.
Alright.
This is all barnacles.
If you enjoyed
Mermaid man, I'm barnacle
I will
boy.
throw my fucking chair.
To the Krusty Krab! Away!
If you enjoyed this episode...
Yo, Maxie, come on. Finish the
My
show.
son was making Max crazy. Cosplay, hello?
Oh no. I'm just trying to end this.
Hey.
This is $1 million media signing off. Should just go out on us laughing. Like a little clip of us just laughing and just trail off towards the
Like, subscribe, and share.
Bro,
We got
this
Instagram.
guy
Thanks!
Fucker! I was literally plugging!
literally in the middle. And he just goes, alright, I'm gonna fuck it up. Ready, guys?
Oh.
Me.
No! No!